Welcome, dear viewers, to CouchWarrior TV on YouTube. I am the CouchWarrior, and you are watching ERINYES ARCANA, a Skyrim Let's Play. Welcome to Chapter 15, Part 1, Episode 94. Let's get right to it.
You honor the reclamations with your actions. This will not be forgotten. Are you here to pray, or perhaps pay your respects at our ancestral tomb?
What are the ancestral
Where
tombs?
we inter our dead. They are sacred places, meant to honor their passing. Sadly, we've been unable to use the ancestral tomb beneath the temple as of late, and have resorted to other locations to scatter the remains.
Why can't you use the tomb?
Those foul vermin, the abominations we call ash spawn, have risen from the ashes of our own ancestors. They're befouling the memories of our forefathers by defiling their remains.
I'll cleanse the tomb for you.
Thank you, Wanderer. That would be most kind. Here, this key should open the door to the tomb.
Well, he seemed prepared for us to accept this little mission. Now let's go do it.
Be cautious, friend. The ash spawn are soulless beings with no regard for compassion.
Fleet's Journal. These Dunmer are curious. I see wisdom and brilliance in these people. Their culture and traditions, achievements in architecture and magic, and yet this attachment to the Daedra vexes me. In ages past, they worshipped the heroes of old, Vivek, Amalexia, and Sothasil. Well, not without fault, it would seem to me the worship of these entities would be preferable to the Daedric princes. However strange, it would seem that few of us escape the traps laid for men by the divine. Haldir's prodding has begun to tire me. He must understand by now that I know what he is doing. He seems to think me worthy of analysis, although I'm not entirely sure why. It's possible he means to try and bring me home. Why does he care? I'm gone for years, and now, out of the blue, he reappears, the very soul of concern. To this point, I have allowed him to accompany me, out of this strange feeling of nostalgia, but I don't know that he is the same man I knew back then. Then again, neither am I. I must leave this island soon. My time to meet Miravel draws near, and I have a long way to travel. There will be no sleep in my future for several days. I shall have to find other things to occupy my mind until that time finally comes. Resisting sleep, I have found, causes my dreams to reconstitute themselves as waking visions. They come to me at strange times, and with unexpected or undecipherable messages, but I find them so vivid. Was Sithis a vision? The trick of a tired mind? It was so real. The icy touch of the fog on my face, the whispered words in my waiting ears, the chill of the water on the soles of my aching feet, and of course the mask. I'm drawn to this mask, as I've been drawn to his gifts of the past, tools of death and all, but this mask calls to me in a different way. Though I have never seen it before, it's as if I have found a long-lost and well-cherished object. Today, Haldir asked me why I wear the mask, and I did not know how to answer. In the beginning, it was simply a necessity. One does not survive long in my chosen vocation by broadcasting one's identity to the dark and cruel world. But since then, it has become something else. Hidden in plain sight, the mask brings comfort when the lapses come. I cannot find a common trigger for the episodes, but when they come, I seem to lose myself for periods of time, some long and others very brief. When the lapse ends, I cannot recall details, but somehow I am able to sense the historical context of what took place during these times. The dagger in my hand is wet with blood, but upon whom it was used I cannot recall. Strangest of all, it is at these times I am most at peace. At peace, knowing that, although my mind is unable to produce the memory of the event, the sweet embrace was necessary and artfully executed. Where in others a loss of time such as this might be cause for consternation or panic, these are moments of profound calm for me, my mind quiet, clear, and open to perception beyond reality. Well, dear viewers, we have successfully cleansed the tomb of Ash Spawn, but we are here on another mission entirely, and that is to try to ferret out who the potential assassins are. And what we have been told up to this point, if you remember from the last episode, is that we may be able to find out who the assassins are hidden in the community by staking out the Ulan tomb to see who comes to visit. So that is exactly what we are going to do. I want to welcome you all back to the story. I didn't get a chance to do that earlier, so I'd like to say it now. Welcome back. I apologize for the lengthy interval between posts. A couple reasons for that. If you watched my last lounge episode, I posted that right before the Thanksgiving holiday, and I indicated there that I was going to be taking a little time off. I took some time to travel with the family, went to warmer climates for a while, got a little rest, had a little fun, and now I'm back. The other reason is that I have struggled mightily with this episode. I have a very clear plan for what I want to do going into the future. However, the next few episodes are extremely critical to not only building toward our episode 100 finale, but also building to the close of Act 3 and the start of Act 4. So every single minute I spend with you in this Let's Play over the next 5 or 6 episodes is going to be extremely critical to the story. So it makes all the writing and the planning and the thinking through of plot lines and characters extremely important. So there were many rewrites in this episode, and I also struggled a bit with how much to pack in. So we are looking at an episode running approximately an hour and 20 minutes. All right. Here we have a visitor. Now we have to identify who this person is. Or a whisper is the perfect tool for this job. Now we just need to get into a position to identify this person. Just going to sneak up here. See how close we need to get. Okay, there we go. Telesu. All right. Now we got to get back to Arano and let him know of our findings. So we are just going to sneak out the same way that we came in. I also like this path in and out simply because we are never in a position where we can possibly be seen going directly in and out of the Ulen Temple, or the Ulen Crypt, I guess, shrine, whatever it is. So we'll take this alternate route, and we'll stop and talk to the priest on our way and kind of wrap up this little quest line. Now, we have been doing quite a few things here in Raven Rock to ingratiate ourselves to the villagers and the family in power here. This will be just another one of those missions, side quests. One of the things that I've been meaning to mention for a long time now, but keep forgetting to do, is to talk a little bit about the audio, normalization of the audio, and how I record the audio for these. If you have been following the comments, there have been comments off and on various episodes throughout the series where I've had people complaining about either the game footage being too quiet or the commentary being too quiet. And I've worked hard to try to figure out what the best mix of audio is. I do record my commentary and my game audio on completely separate tracks so I can control the volume of those independently of one another. But I thought it might be helpful for you to know that as I am recording, as I am testing, as I am producing each of these episodes, when I do this, I am working on a Mac and I keep my volumes in my player and so forth, I keep set to medium. So when I'm recording everything, I'm testing at medium volumes, and I'm using a set of sound canceling earbuds. So I would highly recommend that you do the same. This has really been designed with the idea that the vast majority of viewers of my Let's Play are going to be using headsets or headphones of some type. So if you are going to listen to it on speakers, be they stereo speakers, entertainment center, or PC speakers, you may have to turn the volume up significantly in order to make sure that you can hear everything. So just a little bit of info there that might help you with any problems you run into hearing the audio. Where is this guy? Here he is.
You honor the reclamations with your actions. This will not be forgotten.
The temple's tomb has been cleansed.
Spirits be praised.
Indeed.
I'm hoping you didn't suffer much at the hands of those foul beings.
No, a little singed, that's all.
Accept this as a token of my thanks.
1,000 gold. Take it.
The reclamations are the true tribunal. The Daedra that consecrate the Dunmer people. Azura, Methala, and Boethia. We call them the True Tribunal because they have reclaimed their place in our hearts from the false tribunal that came before.
The false tribunal?
Sotha Sil, Amalexia, and Vivek represent what was. Beings who won the Dunmer people's hearts with their actions, but blinded them just the same. They were aberrations, false prophets. They used their status as heroes to shield the true tribunal from our minds. But now that they've been destroyed, the light can finally shine upon the House of Reclamations.
Interesting.
May Azura, Mafala, and Boethia guide you.
Sure. The Dunmers is a complicated religion. If you study at all anything about the Daedric princes, it seems as if there are very few of them that are sort of black and white, either purely good or purely evil. Most of them seem to straddle the line in some way. Mafala being one of those, for example. They tend to worship Mafala as though Mafala were a force of good in many ways. However, there are also a lot of creepy things associated with Mafala. So, if you get an opportunity to research the lore on the Daedric princes, it's extremely interesting. The way it's generally laid out is that the reclamation includes Azura, Boethia, and Mafala, roughly considered the forces of good amongst the Daedric princes. However, there are also forces of evil, and that's where we come into Mehrunes Dagon, and Molag Bal and those. I guess it's just maybe degrees of evil. I don't know.
I hope Geldis proved useful. Have you made any progress?
I suspect Telesu Severin is the culprit.
Telesu. Are you sure?
I saw her in the Ulen tomb.
So Geldis' plan worked, eh? Every time we tried it, no one would ever show up. If Telesu's involved in any sort of plot to harm Councillor Morvain, I'm going to need hard evidence to prove it.
So go search their house.
I'm not kicking down anyone's door until I have solid evidence in hand. If you're wrong about Telesu, things would quickly go downhill around here, and the real culprits might slip away. I can't afford for that to happen.
What if they try to stop me?
If you have evidence, and it places your life in peril, I would expect you to do whatever you must to keep yourself alive. Here, this key should open the front door of the manor in case they've locked it. Good luck. Telesu is wife to the family patriarch Vendor. They have a single child, a daughter named Miri. They arrived here 10 years ago and have been nothing but a benefit to Raven Rock ever since. They're quite wealthy, and they've been quite generous by sharing their fortune with the community. They've contributed coin, food, supplies, even helped repair a few of the buildings in town with their own hands. People have mentioned it's a bit odd about how close in age Mary appears to be to her father, but that's hardly a cause for alarm. Just make sure you find solid evidence. If I accuse them without it, I'll be the laughing stock of the colony. Be careful. If the Severins have betrayed us, then they'll be well armed.
All right, we've got our mission.
There's nothing beyond the bulwark except wild nords and ash wastes.
We are going to infiltrate Severin Manor. So anyway, what I was talking about were the Daedra, who are considered by the Dunmer to be the bad Daedra, in quotes. That would be Mehrunes Dagon, Shigarath, Malakath, and Molag Bal, also referred to as the Four Corners of the House of Troubles. And they are typically pitted against the good Daedra, also in air quotes, including the three we saw there in the temple. I haven't done a ton of research on it, but I've done enough to know that it's confusing and complex, like any good religion should be. Many shades of gray there. Okay, so this seems like as good a time as any to infiltrate. It's middle of the night. We don't want to be seen approaching the house, so I'm going to come up around here, and I'm going to try to go straight up over the roof and drop down in front of the door. As a good thief assassin, we are trying to create a scenario in which we are backlit for the shortest part of time possible. So if we come up over the top in the darkness with the cliff face at our back and then quickly drop straight down and go immediately in the door, I think that's going to be our best bet, as opposed to crossing around either side in front of the light. Okay. I always seem to go through my setup multiple times here. I have a certain set of tools that I like to use, but I change their order and I change the keys they're bound to depending on the mission I'm trying to perform, kind of anticipating which tools I'm going to use at any given time. And then you can see here I'm also testing my keystrokes to make sure that when I activate these things, the right things happened, so that when I get in there, I don't get in a pinch. One of the things that I do have going on here is that at some points I have the extra hotkeys mod and my standard hotkeys working at cross purposes. So there are times when I just need to be extra careful, make sure I know what I have things mapped to. All right, let's drop right down here and straight in. Ooh. Scoot, quiet, 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 straight downstairs. All right. Now, before coming in, I had cast both Blur, my defensive spell, on myself, as well as Muffle. So I have both of those spells in play right now. One, of course, making me a bit more stealthy, and the other harder to hit. All right, so we are looking for evidence. I'm not going to take anything. We certainly don't want to get greedy at this point and blow our cover. There is the chance that if we were to come in here and not find what we were looking for immediately, we might have to do some investigation and come back. So if we're stupid about this and we take stuff, even if we do get away, if they discovered they've been robbed or someone's been in their place, they're only going to make security tougher the second time around. So, and I closed the doors behind me. I always do that. That is my alarm system. So if I am discovered, or if somebody comes in, I'll hear the doors opening, and that gives me a split second to react. I want to thank all you viewers who've been giving me such great suggestions. There have been a flurry of suggestions lately on new Death Mentor videos that I should do, and I really appreciate that. I haven't done an update in the Death Mentor series for quite some time because I've just been unable to think of any new topics. So if you guys have kind of, assassin-related or thief-related topics you want me to cover in that series, let me know. I would love to do that. I would love to produce new episodes of that series. I just run into creative blocks. So, the Ulen Matter. This looks like evidence. And it is. Okay. They are still upstairs, so let's take a moment to review this. That is one thing we have learned. We do not blindly hand over documents. Dear Counselor Saldin, in the manner of days, I believe we'll be ready. Our forces hidden within Ashflow Citadel have been training night and day, ready to strike when we give the signal. With Captain Velith distracted by the Ash Spawn attacks, the timing seems perfect. I've waited nearly a decade to exact my revenge upon Lirlile Morvain for the death of my ancestor, and I long for the moment when I turn the page. My blade will be drawn across his throat. The next letter you'll receive from me will include his head in a sack. Display it proudly in the halls of House Lalu, brother. Vendil Ulin. That is pretty darn incriminating, I would say. Even signed his name to it. All right, so we got what we need. Now we just got to get out of here. So there's really only one way out. It's the same way we came in. So I think what we're going to have to do is play a little game of distraction and try to draw them down the stairs so that we can go up behind them. Now, more than likely, my stealth abilities at this point are significant enough that I could probably literally sneak right past them the same way that I snuck in. But in the interest of role play and in the interest of good footage, interesting footage, we're not going to do that. If they're standing at the top of the stairs, it stands to reason that we're not going to be able to just waltz out their front door. So let's locate them. We're going to take a chapter from the Death Mentor series, Death Mentor Episode 1, and use some misdirection. Okay, there they are. Or a whisper, ever the handy tool. What we need to do is create a distraction, something to draw them away from the door, preferably far enough away from the door that we can easily get up here. So let's try to be a little creative, shall we? Okay, there they are. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to go back down here. We'll recast our muffle. And we're recasting our blur just in case this idea goes sideways. Which I hope it doesn't. All right. Just as often as we shoot people with the bow, we use it for misdirection and crowd control. So I'm going to start by drawing them down, and then I'm going to use the bow to draw them down the hall toward that door. In fact, let's open this door. You might be able to draw them all the way in, perhaps. I suspect that these guys are going to be a bit less gullible than some of the other foes that we've faced, such as Draugr. But in the past, we've been able to use this technique to great effect, so we're going to try it here too. Here they come. Okay. Let's put them down the hall. Oh. Gee. Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Oh, she's looking the other way. Thank God. Okay, there they go. And we will sneak up this way while they're walking the other direction. Ooh, that was close. Wow. Okay. I think our timing was pretty good. It must be fairly early in the morning at this point. That was good use of the nighttime hours, those hours of darkness. All right, so we have the proof. Now the next stage in our mission is we need to go back to Counselor Arano, provide him with this incriminating evidence, and then get our next set of orders. But we need to step this up. If you remember, it seems like ages ago that we had our conversation with Miravel, and at that time we established with Miravel that we were going to meet in 2 days at Fort Snowhawk. Well, in actual game time, believe it or not, only a day has passed. So it seems crazy. It seems like such a long time ago, but when you think about it, it's really not, if you look at the actual footage. So we've got 1 day left. We need to finish this mission, and we need to get the heck out of here and back to Skyrim so that we can make our meeting with Miravel. We cannot afford to shake her confidence in any way.
Can I help you?
You've brought Ravenrock back from the brink, traveler.
That's right.
I don't know how to thank you.
Money.
May I have a word with you, counselor?
Did you find any evidence at
course,
Severin Manor yet?
I found evidence proving Severin's
Then
guilt.
we finally have them.
Bam!
All that remains now is chasing them down and bringing them to justice.
I'll speak with Garen and see if we can't include
I don't think they'll give up willingly.
I'm going to send 2 of the best Redoran Guard we have to take them down.
I fear
Want you to assist them any way you can.
this year.
I'll head there immediately.
See that you do. We can't afford to let these traitors slip away.
Very good.
Ashfallow Citadel's been abandoned for a long time. Be ready for anything.
Pie.
Plenty of...
Okay. We have our orders.
Cargo yarn ship. I was even me guts for a week. Dunmer weren't meant to ride on water.
Well, this is an interesting turn of events. We are beginning to get the impression that there are forces at work upon Solstheim. Forces of a rival guild of assassins known as the Morag Tong. This is something that I believe that fleet would not abide. The presence of another guild. Oh my gosh. Ah. Icicle through the hip. All right. Well, let's do a little invisibility here. We're going to try to break the sight line. We need to get Surprise back here. There we go. Okay, we've got her going the other way. Trying to get in position here.
You can't hide from me.
Oh, yes, I can.
Found you.
Oh, yeah? Dang it. A little too close there. Okay, let's get an object in between us. Get a little respite. Get a little blur going. Alright, I blew my opportunity there. So let's try another tactic here. Come on. Come on, you. There you go. Oof. I do have a little trouble sometimes with the backstabbing in third person. But for the game's sake, I like to work in third person as much as I possibly can. It's the best way, I think, that we get a sense for the character we're following. In third person, he is fleet. In first person, he is a pair of gloves. So, for the story's sake, I tend to stay in third person as much as I possibly can. Reverting to first person periodically if I need to hit a specific spell that's difficult, a specific target that's tough to hit with a bow, or, searching a room, things like that. But generally speaking, third person, I think, is the best way to kind of maintain that level of connection to the character that we want. So I suffer through some kind of ridiculous stuff from time to time. So I was mentioning earlier that I am looking for ideas for topics for Death Mentor. Some of the topics that have been suggested recently. One was a short one having to do with the bow punching technique that I use. I haven't done a lot of research into it. I just happen to know what's effective from my own experience. Ooh, ash hoppers. So that is definitely a possibility. That could be a fun one. I need to get these guys off my back. Let's try something new. Can we make them... Evil Twin only lasts a few seconds. Let's do Fury. Let's see if we can make them angry with one another. Okay, there's one. Ow. Oh, that one missed. That might be enough, though. Now we're going to get out of here. Yeah, they're fighting each other now. That effectively breaks sightline, so we can go back into stealth mode here. Let them do each other in. That's a fight we don't necessarily need at the moment. What we got going on here now? The Solstheim is a treacherous place. Another idea for a topic that somebody presented to me was perhaps some variation on this idea of using the things that you find in your environment against your enemies. I have touched on that topic multiple times, but I'm thinking it might possibly be worthy of another episode. There are some fairly unique things that I can do now that I couldn't do then using mods, which might be interesting to focus on a little bit. That guy way over there, Fire Mage. Let's see if we can take him out. He's way out there.
Haldir's Journal. Entry 4. The Grounding. Fleet has vanished. It's possible it was not done intentionally. The gods know that after the events of today, I was very well into my cups and may have missed his exit. The boy is talkative as the dead, and silent as a shadow. However, his things are still in his room, and I hope this guarantees his return. Perhaps he has simply grown weary of this old mongrel dog following him around. The gods know I tire of myself. I tire of Solstheim. We could not leave this place soon enough. All is buried in ash and waste. The very air is thick with it. And the sun, eternally obscured by ash. Man may never tell if it is day or night. The clouds of infernal ash reflect the light at night and obscure it by day. I am losing what wits I have left, merely trying to determine the time of day. This place is cursed. And yet, he seems at home in this ash pit. The people of Raven Rock know and adore him. Numerous villagers have approached me singing his praises. The stories are quite stunning. It would seem that he has become the hand of justice, killed scores of brigands, and as well opened the long-cursed mines. All of this strengthens my theory that Fleet is still Fleet. I have to believe he's in there somewhere. It is hard to say when the darkness came to him. I always knew him as a solitary but amiable child. He was slow to associate, but once bonded, capable of profound compassion, and loyal to a fault. Something broke him. Something other than that dungeon. He lost his way as a very young man. Perhaps if I had taken more time, or spent less time in distant lands, things would have ended differently for him. I was a terrible bastard, I'm afraid. Yes, his father was a man, mean and contemptuous lout. He never forgave Fleet for Valeria's death. But I ask you, how could a child of 2 be responsible for the death of a grown woman? Yes, his father is and was a vile man, but me? I loved that boy, made him believe there was happiness in the world, protected and cared for him, only to leave him behind with Senshin when the king called me. Something happened in my absence. Perhaps if I had been there to guide him. Perhaps if I had not abandoned him at that moment. Or better yet, taken him with me. Gods be good. I have failed him. It has taken seeing him again after all these years to open my eyes to my life's greatest failing. Dear boy, I have failed you as I failed your sweet mother. This wrong must be set right. I will find a way to speak with Fleet. Speak with him privately. He must be grounded. Grounded in the knowledge that his life is worth saving. He's the Dragonborn, not the plaything of Sithis. Until I can find a way to reach him, the balance will be upset, the scales inside him tipped to the darkness. I believe I know what must be done, but the materials I require to do this are found only in Skyrim. The longer we stay on this accursed isle, the more desperate this situation is to become.
Can't hide from me. What was that?
There is only one true God.
Lost!
One world. The pretender burn.
comes the black, all cares are gone. Our hearts numb to the pain of existence. When comes the black, all debts are repaid. Our deeds and the deeds of our fathers, lost to time and memory. When comes the black, we feel not, but the Father's embrace. That which was absent in life is our eternal reward. In the void, there is no love or hate. All I have known by the kiss of lips, or the kiss of the blade slip through my fingers. In the void, there is no want or need. My spirit is eternal, my hunger sated. In the void, there is only the memory of those we have sacrificed. The lost, the lonely, the great and mighty, the sick and depraved. All are in the empty. If the darkness gives, it grants us peace. The fight is over. The care is gone. If the darkness listens, it hears our pleas. Our suffering is over. Our prayers are answered.
I know I heard something.
If the darkness speaks, it calls us by name. Not the name of our mortal self, but the signature of our souls.
Found you! Don't hide from me. Found you! Where are you? I knew I'd find you.
Well, dear viewers, we are deep in the bowels of Ashflow Citadel. This is one of my favorite side quests of the entire Skyrim series. As an assassin player, the opportunity to take on the Morag Tong directly, assassin versus assassin, is just a super cool idea. And this one is so much fun because there's so many great assassination opportunities. We can use every single technique we've developed over all these episodes to try to really draw our opponents into bad situations. In the first part of this, you saw me using some of the terrain to my advantage. What I like doing here, my favorite thing to do, is to not only use their traps against them, but to use their gates against them. Using their gates, their own gates, to divide them into smaller groups that I can handle with a knife. So here we go. We scoot out of the way, we draw them in close to one gate, and we close the other one behind them, effectively trapping them inside here. You can see we've got them trapped inside. Now we can let them out at our leisure, and we can spring their own traps on them as they search the corridor trying to find us. Okay, we killed at least one there. There's another one. Whoa. That's two. Let's see how many we got left. Okay, there's two. We've got two left there. And we've got them trapped.
Now, I did that in the previous segment as well, where I drew them down the hall using misdirection, closed the gate behind them, effectively sectioning off two of them from the third. So then I only had to contend with 2 enemies instead of 3. You know what? This seems like a good Death Mentor episode right here. Those of you who do follow the Death Mentor series will have seen an episode I did with Centrosi, the Archer Assassin. He was a vampire assassin. And using the environment against your enemies. In that one, I highlighted the use of traps. This might be interesting to highlight the use of gates. I love it as a technique for dividing the enemy into small groups.
Ran away, I guess.
Alright, this seems like a good ghost walk opportunity. I've got 2 left. I'm going to try to use a different spell for each kill. The first one, of course, is Ghost Walk. We want to cast it in a location in which we're safe and out of sight. First thing we're going to do is we have sufficiently healed ourselves now. I think we're okay to open this gate and go on the offensive. So we cast this Ghost Walk here, where we're concealed, and out we come. We're going to go after the big guy first. And his poor friend just watches his buddy drop dead with nobody there. It's got to be terrifying, but that is the terror we cause with our figment magic. The next thing we're going to do, last one, bend the shadows. And we are going to try to finish these rival assassins in style.
What was that? I won't allow you to ruin years of... Come on. I know you're in here.
the deed is done. We are back in Raven Rock, and it's time to wrap up this quest. Things to do, places to go, plots to see through. So we're looking for Arano again. I'm guessing he's in here. I already went and visited Counselor Morvain and he wasn't there. Here he is.
Well, what happened? Were you able to track down Vendel? Out with it!
He's no longer a threat.
Then, it's finally over. What of the Reverend Guard I sent to assist you?
Slain by the Morag Tong.
Damn it. I was hoping to protect our people by sending them, not end up with casualties. To think that Vendel would stoop so low as to hire those fetchers. I'm glad you killed him.
I did what had to be done.
Wonderful.
That's what we do.
Simply wonderful.
What has to be
Councillor
done.
Morvain will be quite pleased when he hears about this.
Very good. All right.
Follow me, and I'll take you to the Councillor so you can speak to him yourself.
Let's gather up Haldir.
Let's go.
Yes, let's go. So we're going to go talk to Counselor Morvain. We're going to collect our reward for a job well done. And then we need to move on. I'm sure there are more fetchers to be killed. I love that term, fetchers. I'm going to start using that at work.
Serve House Red
Fetchers.
or serve no one.
Another lovely day in Solstheim. Okay, hopefully this pays well. You know, we actually
You lost.
didn't talk about payment.
And you, step forward. What
I
you've
believe
done for
Councillor
me,
Morvain wants to
for all of Raven Rock, goes far beyond what I would have expected from a traveler to our town. For this, you have my deepest gratitude.
Thank you, Counselor. Look at Haldir. So rude.
Now, I'm certain Adril was prepared to reward you appropriately for everything you've done. However, since a bit of coin hardly seems like enough, I've decided to provide something more substantial.
Oh?
Since the Severin family, or whoever they were, turned out to be criminals, their property is now forfeit. As Counselor, I hereby award you Severin Manor.
Oh, that's great.
Everything contained within.
Nice.
You've earned your citizenship here, and I hope you'll consider staying with us as a member of our community.
That is terrific. Now, the cool thing about this is that this is a remote island, obviously. It's a great hiding place. And the only one who, of our party anyway, who really knows where we would reside here is Haldir himself. Obviously, the Counselor knows. People here will know. But this is such a remote place. It seems like it could be the perfect assassin's hideaway if we need to lay low, you know? Go on the lam for a while. This would be a great place to just kind of hunker down, do some crafting, hide for a week or so, and then re-emerge anew. So let's check the place out. Now, last time we were in here, obviously we didn't have an opportunity to look around very closely.
Let's get going.
Let's let Haldir hang out here. And then we are going to explore Severin Manor. I'm going to take out this episode for you with an exploration of Severin Manor, as well as some great content from both Haldir and Fleet that I hope will help explain for you some of the things you've seen in this episode and set the stage for episodes to come here in the near future. Let's offload some stuff. We got some heavy stuff on us, namely the Champion's Cudgel. This thing, let's just leave it here. We also have this Blood Skull blade, which is crazy looking and heavy. Get rid of that. So I am going to offload some weight. We'll gather up whatever gold we can find around here, get a good look at all the amenities, then I will re-provision, and it is back to Skyrim we go. Back to Skyrim to meet up with Miravel and start the next stage of this adventure. I have to tell you, I'm pretty excited about what's coming in the next 5 episodes. Pretty excited, and you know what? It's killing me not to tell people about it. You're just going to have to wait and see. I'm always looking forward to a build-up to a new act. That is when we get to make major changes in the story. We get to reset a little bit. I get to do new intros and outros and all that good stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. And we will continue to see how the story of Fleet Featherstone evolves. So for now, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my viewers, new and old. I appreciate all of your support. Please keep the comments coming in. I appreciate all of the suggestions and all the comments. It is really what drives me to keep producing these episodes. So thank you very much for all of your support. And I will see you in Chapter 15, Part 2, Episode 95.
Haldir's Journal. Entry 5. The Conversation. I will not soon forget the day we had when I would call our first real conversation. It brought back memories of the hours we spent reviewing texts in the libraries of Castle Grey, although the topic of conversation was a complete surprise, and we were both much younger then. Little Feather is full of surprises. As I had hoped, he returned to Raven Rock early the next morning. I overheard a conversation that made it clear he was not simply out for a stroll. He had taken to wearing dark, almost priestly vestments, but I know blood when I see it. I'm unsure what this task was he performed, but whatever it was, it had to have been of high importance, as he was awarded holdings within the city walls. He chose not to share any of the details, and I did not ask. My observations have led me to the conclusion that he does nothing without a reason, making questioning him next to futile. It was as if we had crossed an unseen border. Only yesterday he would not divulge anything of his plans to me, but now, as we left Morvain's home, he turned to me and stated flatly, "We sail this afternoon. Thank the gods." The walk to Severin Manor was silent. Most of these Dunmer residences are underground, making their size from the surface deceiving. The home was large and very well appointed. I do not know who the previous resident of this place was, however, I believe that Fleet ended his life. He has involved himself in the political intrigues of others here in Raven Rock.
I am experienced in these games, and know that they are just as treacherous as the battlefield. Danger lies everywhere, and it is not a game for the faint of heart. While I am unsure what he has done, he has played the game deftly, clearly. To be bestowed the honor of lands in any realm is strictly reserved for the highborn, or great warriors of renown. These events would indicate that he is more formidable than I realized. It would seem that those years spent watching his father's political maneuvering were not wasted. We remained in the house for a few hours, while he prepared for the short voyage back to Skyrim and inspected his new property. I took the opportunity to eat a meal of my own creation, a meal completely devoid of ash yam. And I must say that Sujamma is perhaps the most foul spirit I have ever put in my mouth. It was over a meal of roast beef and potatoes that we had our longest exchange to date. He entered the kitchen soundlessly and faced me without his mask. It was shocking to see his face again. He was always fair of face and dark of hair, but much had changed. The features I remembered were there, the hard jaw, the high cheekbones, but his face bore the scars and lines one would expect from a life of trial. It was his hair that struck me. It had transformed from Featherstone black to completely white. This was not the white of age. Even with his advanced age, Fleet's father Senshin was still blessed with hair black as night. What had happened to Fleet? This color was an unnatural white and uncharacteristic of his family. It was not until later in our conversation that I realized his appearance was reminiscent of the Elysian Order. It may mean nothing. The Elysian Order fell from power in the First Era, but history I have read from that era mentions the shorn style, and that followers of the Elysian doctrine would dye their hair the color of bleached bones. It was the Elysian Order's attack on the Altmer that allowed the Bretons to rise from subjugation and form their own society, a struggle that Fleet seems to share, in a manner of speaking. Our conversation started with a most unexpected question.
Haldir, you knew my mother.
Yes, I knew her well.
Tell me of her.
Yes, of course. Tell me, what do you know of her already?
Next to nothing. She died when I was 3. She was Breton. Her name was Valeria. And she had the bad fortune to marry Senshin Featherstone.
Well, you are correct on 2 of the 4 counts. Her name was indeed Valeria, and she did marry your Senshin. However, she died when you were but 2, and she was not Breton.
I am not Breton?
No, Fleet. You are but only half Breton. Your mother was Akaviri.
This cannot be. Akavir is the domain of the beast folk.
This is true. The beast folk of Akavir are many, but they are not the only inhabitants of the continent. Humans have lived on Akavir for millennia.
The stories say the humans of Akavir were eaten by the serpent men.
The serpent men you speak of are called Seishi, And well, I would not be surprised if some of that sort of thing happened. To say they ate an entire population of people seems ludicrous, don't you think? Evidence suggests that the Seishi have long controlled populations of goblins as a constant food source, and technically speaking, they do not eat meat and are considered vampiric, but not vampires in the strictest sense. That would require they be undead, and this is far from the case. I believe they simply have a taste for blood. What is uncertain is whether or not the Seishi physiology requires the intake of blood, or if this is more of a cultural device by which they...
Okay, Haldir. Okay. Perhaps I should review my history books. It has been some time since we covered this topic.
Yes, true indeed. I have a copy of Disaster at Ionith in my cottage, should you require a review. A fascinating study, to say the least. I'm sorry. Why do you ask about your mother?
I believe I saw her in a vision.
Need something?
I'm not sure how I knew it was her. I just knew.
The strongest bond is that forged between mother and child. So powerful when nurtured, and yet so devastating when severed.
She wore armor in a style I've never seen before, and bore a two-handed sword. Can that be right?
Oh, yes. Your mother was a priestess of Akatosh fleet. The garb and the weapon were ceremonial, but very important to the traditions and rituals of her sect. Your mother was ever devoted to two things, Akatosh and you.
A priestess?
Yes, quite so. I suspect the so-called dragon blood that runs in your veins comes from her line. Vortune.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Vortune would be your surname from your mother's line. Her name was Valeria Vortune.
Vortune. What does that mean?
I haven't the slightest idea. However, there is a man who does. He was your mother's sworn protector for years. He knew her quite well and may be able to shed a bit more light on your mother.
Go.
Do you know where he can be found?
Yes, he is a big orcish bastard, goes by Burguk. He is the chief of the Dushnik Jarl, but I warn you, he is a foul and mean, and he will not give up anything for free. There may be a blood price required for any information on Valeria.
Then I will bleed. We must go.
still need to get paid, of course. Right then. Let's be off.